Okay, good evening. Welcome to Ultimate Project 25. This is Riot versus Fury from ECC 2011. This is one of Ultivillage's Elite Team Partnership films. So thank Ultivillage for putting this together, as well as the other sponsors, Patagonia and Discraft. These are great games, and this in particular is a phenomenal game to learn from. Again, if you're a beginning player, even all the way up to the elite level, there's so many great things in this game. I have no idea how I'm going to keep this under 15 minutes, so I'm just going to go and go and go and go and see what I can get through. So, Riot wins this game on Universe Point, so it's really an exciting game. Throughout the game, Riot has 182 passes with 19 turns. Fury has 223 passes, also with 19 turns. So Riot's a little bit below 90%, Fury's at about 92%. About what we've seen from all the other teams in the Elite Team Partnership Program. Everyone seems to hover around 90%. After Fury turns, Riot has a long field, 13 times converts 3. A medium field, 4 times and converts 3. And they have a short field twice and don't convert at all, which is a little concerning. I'm going to talk about that specifically later. After Riot turns, Fury converts 5 out of 14 when they have to go a long field, 2 out of 5 on a medium field, and Riot never turns short, never gives Fury that gift, which is good. So that's good play by Riot. I think Fury should probably be a little bit concerned about only converting 2 out of 5 when they had a medium field to go. You see Riot was 3 out of 4. Riot's got to be concerned about not converting at all on the short fields. So I've got 5 things I want to talk about just beyond the stats. So let's get going. First thing I want to talk about is end zone play. Okay, so first let's talk about 3 really, really nice plays in the end zone. The first you'll see comes from Riot, 6 minutes 40 seconds into the clip. They get the disc on the sideline. Someone cuts from the middle of the field into the end zone. Nice pass up the sideline out to space. Easy goal. Fury at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Cutter comes across the field into the middle of the field while another cutter curls. Pass goes up into the end zone here. Another beautiful play. This is easy play. Easy and beautiful end zone play by both teams. Fury at 36:47 on the tape. They get the disc sort of halfway up the field on the sideline. Cutter comes from across the other side of the field into the corner. Nice, easy pass up to score. When these teams play well, they make it look really, really easy. And these 3 in particular near the end zone, I think, are great examples if you're a young team or if you're a club team about creating space in the end zone and, you know, people getting out of the way, which is harder to see on camera, but just easy passes out to space. Beautiful goals by in these 3 examples. But they're not always this efficient. So let's take a look at 3 more times where things don't go quite as well. Okay, so if I'm Riot, I want to take a look at 10:56 real carefully. I know this is the beginning of the season. This is from ECC, and this is one of the first tournaments of the season. But their end zone O around 10:56 looks really out of sync. And if I'm Riot, I want to, you know, examine that, see what they're trying to do as a team, and then find out how to improve. Same with Fury at 37:40. What happens at 37:40 with Fury is you get a bunch of people caught in the corner of the end zone, and it's basically the old try to jam it in, and it results in a turn. At 33:41, you have a really common situation. This gets to the sideline. You have a righty thrower who tries to throw an inside-out flick to somebody cutting sort of to the break side. It's such a tempting pass to throw, but it's just an absolute no. Don't throw this pass. And if you watch this play here at 33:41, you'll see exactly why. It's so easy to defend. So this throw, just no. No. It's a perfect example of why you can't throw that throw. Okay, so that's some end zone. Let's talk about 2 other bits of poor play and then move on to some really good stuff. All right, so here are the 2 things that I think each of these teams did really poorly in this game, and I think it's worth really studying carefully. I mentioned that Riot was 0 out of 2 in converting short turns. So when they got the disc near near the goal and had very short distance to cover, they failed to convert both times. The first time was at 110. The disc hits the ground at 110. They pick it up at 111, followed by a swing at 117. The second one, the disc hits the ground at 30-35. It's picked up at 30-37, and a swing again 5 seconds later. There's no reason for them to be picking up the disc so quick like this. There's nothing there. All they do is hurt themselves because they don't have any offensive flow, and they're rushing to try to get into the end zone. I hate seeing this. Just when people rush to pick up the disc when there's nothing there. Both times they end up with turnovers. So, if I'm Riot and Fury gives me the disc on the goal line, you got to score, and the way you're going to score is by taking your time. For Fury, this is the #1 thing I would look at in this video. You got to examine the 19 turns. And so when you're watching this, just if you're not playing for Fury and watching this, just keep this in mind as you're watching Ultivillage's clips here. Look at the turns and just ask yourself on Fury's turns, how many of them is the turn the result of Fury trying to force something that just isn't there? I talked about this, the one in the end zone just a few minutes ago. There's a bad crossfield hammer that's just horrible. There's nothing there. There's a couple of Hucks that are really, really bad choices. And when I see Fury doing this is very uncharacteristic of how they play. So for some reason in this game they were trying to force the issue a little bit, and it resulted in a lot of really bad turnovers for them. When Fury takes their time and hits these open spots, as we're going to see in a few examples in just a second, they're really, really good. But in this game, a lot of their turns, and I think they're going to think this themselves, a lot of their turns are just terrible. And so I think that's one of the lessons that they can get out of this film, is really examining why their turns occurred. Okay, so now let's move on to some really good stuff. One really great lesson that you have in this game is the play in Zone O. In particular, Riot has 2 great points in Zone O. The 5th point of the game and the 17th point in the game, so from 7:32 to 8:16, and from 23:49 to 24:31. In particular, what I think is great to watch, although all the play is really great in those 2 points, is the play of the downfield players who stay wide, and you'll see how Riot moves the disc back and forth across the field, but when it gets to the sideline, there's actually something to do, and the disc moves then down the field. And one comparison, especially between the 17th point by Riot and the 18th point by Fury, is on the 18th point, Fury's downfield players are not playing as well. They're not creating space like Riot was on the 17th point. And when the disc swings to the sideline, Fury sort of has nothing to do. And so watch the 17th point, watch the 18th point a couple times, and you'll learn a lot about downfield Zone O play. And it's actually a really good lesson. All right, so now let's move on to some of the Hucks. Okay, I had Riot for the Hucks 9 out of 16, Fury 9 out of 14. And there's some really, really good examples of Hucks throughout this, and then some not so good ones. And I want to try to go through as many as I can here. Riot, actually both teams, Riot in particular, likes to run a Huck play where you have a cutter coming from the wide side of the field, but cutting to the force side, and they try to throw the disc out to space, either with a forehand or a backhand, but the cutter's coming towards you. So at 47 seconds on the tape and at 9:40 on the tape, you see a play sort of like this. Disc is near the sideline, a little flick goes out to space and runs it down. Works well here. At 22:29, it's a backhand, so it's sort of the same field but reversed, and it doesn't work so well. I personally think this is a very difficult cut to run. If you're a beginning team, I think you can look at this and see what they're doing. This is hard to copy unless you're at the really top level. Fury has a similar cut at 2:36, and this sort of shows why it doesn't work, or how it can break down, I mean. Disc is on the sideline. A cutter comes around, curling back, just sort of like we have here, curling back here, but the throw ends up drifting to the middle of the field. It allows the Riot defender to catch up. It's a very difficult throw, this cut. Both teams run this play, and I'm not sure about it. I'm not sure, but I think if you're a beginning team, it's hard. This is a hard thing to copy. All right, let's look at a few more. At 16:15, Riot runs a beautiful Huck play. I think it's Hannah who catches the disc here. You'll see when the disc swings to the sideline to the thrower here, two Riot players clearing out space. And it's worth watching this play several times to see how they make that space, and then Hannah starts near the sideline, gives some space to herself, and then a beautiful throw goes up. Great play. You can learn a lot about how those downfield players can create space for the deep cutter. At 3:20, going back for Fury here, in the last second I talked about a Fury play breaking down where they were trying to throw the disc to somebody cutting towards them. Contrast that with it at 3:20, where the Huck goes out to space here and the cutter is not cutting towards the thrower, they're cutting away from the thrower to the open side. Lots of space. For me, a much better play than the one when I was criticizing with Fury before, when the cutter's coming towards the thrower. At 9 minutes, even in the game film, there's a really great lesson about high stall count Hucks. So you see the Riot thrower get caught in the middle of the field on a high stall, and she basically turns, stays calm, and sees one cutter guarded by a Riot player, and puts the disc in really the only spot on the field where her player can get to it. So she turns a really bad situation into a goal here, and that's really the lesson here is everyone's going to get caught in these high stall count situations. What you'll see a lot of times, or probably in fact most of the time, is the thrower just throwing anything they can. Here the lesson from Fury, and again and also for Riot at 15:25, very similar thing happens. The thrower stays very calm, even though the stall's 8 or 9, finds the right spot on the field, so it turns, instead of throwing a 50-50 pass, she probably throws an 80-20 pass here. But that's the difference. One's a coin flip, and the other one here is a very high percentage goal. This would not be a good Huck, nor would this one at 15:25 be a good Huck at stall 2 or stall 3. But when you're talking about stall 9, these are very good decisions, and a great lesson from great players on these teams. Okay, I want to show 2 more examples and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, last 2 examples that are great lessons from this game. At 29:05, Riot has a beautiful Huck play. The disc is sort of almost near their own goal, they're defending, and you have a Riot cutter who comes across the middle of the field and runs deep. And you see the pass go all the way downfield out to space. This is almost unguardable. A beautiful, beautiful play. A lot of times where this play breaks down, and actually it happens, breaks down a couple times in this game, where this throw will go sort of over here, or I think one misses long out the back. But here the thrower just puts the disc out to space where the cutter can run it down. Really nice play. Great lesson about throwing to space. Fury at 25:34 gives us a lesson on a bad Huck. You see the thrower in the middle of the field sees a cutter cutting open deep, her defender's chasing. This could be a beautiful and easy goal, but the thrower doesn't see that there's a defender wide on the side over here. And you'll see when you watch this play a couple times, you'll see she's always looking over here, and she never checks if there's a defender over here. And this defender comes in and interferes, and it ends up being an incomplete Huck. So inadvertently showing a great lesson about how you just have to look where you're throwing just to double check if there's any defenders there. This happens out of a transition as Riot's transitioning from zone to man, and if you watch this a couple times, you'll see this defender sort of it's Hannah. She's the deep zone D player. She sort of drifts over here, and when that throw goes up, even though she's not on screen, you'll say, "Oh gosh, that defender's there." So, and she comes in and, like I said, interferes with the play enough that it's incomplete. Okay, well, hopefully I didn't go too fast. I think there's a lot of great lessons in this, and thanks to Ultivillage for filming these and putting them up for everyone to see. And hopefully my little summary of this game here is helpful to you watching this. Thanks for watching.